welcome back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I appreciate all of the love and your support that you have shown me here on YouTube. I actually don't take it for granted. Thank you so much. Okay, so I am so very excited to do this right now. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew a plunging V neckline on a princess that's bustier. So that's what we're going to be doing. It's very simple and it is very easy. So sometimes when I see people complain about this kind of styles, it's something that is really not difficult. That's just the truth. Like I always say, whatever you set your mind to do, that is what you will achieve and you will do better. So today I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to make it very simple and easy for you to understand. Okay, so if you have not subscribed to Stylish Naija YouTube channel already, please, I would appreciate if you hit on the subscribe button and then also hit the bell to get an update whenever I upload a new video. So that's just like basically the essence of hitting on that bell. And then if you want to register for our online classes, so you could see our number scrolling through the screen. So we actually have another new class right now, which is the Igbo and Madam Blouse class. So if you want to learn how to sew those Igbo blouses, those off-shoulder blouses, just send me a message on WhatsApp, and then all of our other classes are also available. So just send me a message. Okay, so let's get started. So before we start, I already have my pattern paper here. So I have just my basic line, so I'm going to explain before we continue. So the first line we have here is our shoulder line. So this is our shoulder line here. That's like our startup line. And then we have our armhole. And then the first line I have here, that's the second line. This is our bust point line. And then this is our under bust. And then this is our half cut. So you could see from the picture that I showed you earlier. So these are the lines that I have here. So I already included my darts. That's my darts. I'm going to explain it. If you notice that the dart is not straight. It's not a block dart. That's the same inches from up and down. It's not the same. So for the bust point line and the under bust, I use my bust span measurement. That's from one nipple to another, which is 4 inches. So from this point to this point on my bust line is 4 inches, and then on the under bust is 4 inches. But when I got to the half cut line, because if you see that it is a little bit smaller, I reduced the span by half an inch. So I have 3 inches right now. So that is why you see the line is looking like this. So this actually gives fitting to this kind of style line. So that's what we are going to be doing. So we're going to be drafting our princess dart on this. So let's just continue. Okay, so if you notice, this is my bust span line. So I came up by 1 inch. So that is why you see a dot here that I added, and then I came down by 1 inch also. So this is just to enable me create a curve that would, so that when I'm drafting out the princess dart, it will fit in. So the next thing, I'm going to measure my armhole like this. So my armhole, I have 10. When I measured it round, I have 10 inches. So I'm going to come to this point like this. I'll take half of the bust pan line. So from this point, I'm just going to use dotted line. This is like a very simple method of doing a princess dart. So for this, I'm not going to be removing anything from the armhole part. So I got to the 1 inch that I marked here earlier, and then from this point also I'll just continue my dotted lines and then get to the second 1 inch that I marked downwards. And then for this, I'm going to add dart. So all of my darts, I'm going to be taking them out from one side. So I'll use 2 inches for my darts. So I'll mark on my under bust points my 2 inches. And then I'm just going to curve it in like this. So you could see how easy it is. And then I will come to this down part. Because it is not a blouse, I'm going to take out the same 2 inches. But if it was a blouse, I will not use these inches for the dart on this down part. So I'm going to mark that. I'm just using dotted lines. Okay, so before we continue, the measurements that I'm using, my bust point line is 10 inches. And then my under bust is 13. And then my half cuts, I'm using 18 inches. So these are the measurements. So the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to blend our dotted lines together. So you could see our cup is looking so beautiful. So the next thing, I'll connect downwards with my straight ruler like this. So the next thing, we'll take out our full body measurement. So my bust measurement is 36. When you divide 36 into 4, you have 9 inches. So I'm going to take out I'm going to add half of an inch, because when I cut, I'm going to lose some inch. So I'll add back that half inch, and then I'm going to use 2.5 inches for my allowance. And then I'll come to the under bust. My under bust is 28. So I have 7 inches. You divide all of your measurements into 4. So I have 7. When you divide into 4, you have 7. So you remember these 2 inches that we took out for the dart, you put it back into the measurement. So that's the 2 inches. And then I'm going to add my 2.5 inches for stitching allowance. So these lines, I'll just use dotted lines like this. And then I'll come to the down part. So for the down, that's my half cut is 36. Sorry, 32, which is 8 inches. You divide into 4. So you have 8 inches here already. And then remember these 2 inches for that. You include it into your pattern. And then I'll use my 2.5 inches that I've been using for the allowance. So I'll add it here. And then from this point, I'm just going to blend it like this. So I'll connect with my ruler. So for this armhole point, because I don't want it to get truncated, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add 1 inch to it here. And then I'm going to have a new armhole like this. Because when I cut, so you just elongate it like this. I don't want it to get truncated. So let me use dotted line so you see it properly. So I'm just going to blend it in like this. So you see, so this is my new armhole right now. Okay, so we are good to go. So I'm going to cut out. So for the back pattern, just do your regular basic back pattern for this. So we're not doing the back pattern. The next thing we're going to do now, we're going to insert the style line for this dress, which is the plunging view. We're going to insert it now before we cut out our patterns. So I want you to take note of the measurement that I'm going to be using for this. So the first place that I'm going to come to, I'm going to mark out the neckline. So for the neckline part, I'm going to use 3.5 first. That's for the width on the top part. So I'll use 3.5. So I have 3.5 here. That's for the width, the neckline width. So I'll mark the 3.5 here. This is 3.5 up here. So I'm going to come to the bust point. So this is my bust point. So for my bust point, I'm going to use 1.5 inches. So this is 1.5. So I'm just going to mark it like this. And then my under bust part, I'm going to come, this is my under bust line. I'm going to use 1 inch here. And then for the down part, which is the half cut point, I'm going to use half of an inch. So all of these lines, I'm going to connect them with a straight line first before I curve out. Okay, so I'm going to curve it, I'm going to mark it like this, and then I'm going to curve because I don't want it to be too straight like this. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use my pattern curve. So I could decide to use, I'm just going to use dotted lines first before I blend it with my pattern curve. So for this part, if you notice that it's not really that straight. So I'm just going to mark. So once I'm getting towards from where the princess line comes in, the princess tie line, I'm just going to create something like a little bit of curve like this. And then I'll blend it back into the under bust part. So you could see what I have now. So you notice that this part is not entirely straight. So I'm just going to create like a curve. So you can decide to ignore this. Okay, so the next thing, I will insert the neckline. You note that the neckline is high. So I'm going to use 1 inch or 1.5 inch to drop the neckline. So I'll use 1.5 inch. So from this point, that 3 inches point, I'm just going to blend it in. So we are done. So this part is optional. You can decide to just run your plunging V straight. Okay, so now we're going to cut out now. So the first thing, let's cut out the darts. Okay, so you see what we have. So I'll cut out the sides. Okay, so we are done. So this neckline, I'm not cutting it out. Now when I transfer to my yoke, that is when I will cut it out. So you see what we have. Okay, so we have all of my pieces. So this is the center part. I'm going to cut out with my net. That's my lace fabric for the middle. And then these other pieces, I'm going to cut out with my satin. So I'll just go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so I finished cutting all of my pieces. So these are the sides, and then this is the center part. So these two parts, you cut out lining for them. So these are the lining. So the first thing I'll go and do now, I'm going to join this. That's the princess that I'm going to join this to this, and then join this to this, and then come back and join the lining, and then I'll show you. We'll go over to the machine, and then I'll show you how to join the center piece to it, and then turn it with the lining. So I'll just do this and then come back and show you how to sew this one on the machine. So you actually start sewing from the down. So you see how it is. So you start sewing from down like this. I'll go ahead and sew. So for this one, I actually did not pad the body of the blouse because I'm going to add cups to it. I'll add already made cups inside of it. So I'll just continue, and then I'll do the same thing to the lining. Okay, so I finished stitching them. So now the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to insert the yoke on the center, our plunging V. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start stitching from the down. So I'm going to take this like this. So the easiest way for you to do this is to just pin it. That will make it will make it very simple and easy to do. So you can actually do this in two ways. You can decide to pin both the fabric and the lining together. That's pin it like this. So if you note, I've not added the neckline on my pattern. So I will do that later. So you can decide to just pin it together like this, and then sew it once, and then before adding the lining. So this is my lining. So I'm just looking for a very simple way to do this. Okay, so I think let's just stitch first before inserting the lining. As we stitch, we'll secure this and then see how it is looking before we add the lining. Okay, so I'll take this. Okay, so I secured the first one, so I'm trying to put the lining. So I'm going to show you how I did it on the other side. So it's always better for you to stitch it twice. That's stitch and then check. Once you check and then it is okay, you can now insert your lining. It's better than stitching and then if you find it's not okay, you now start losing. Okay, so I secured with my so I secured my lining. So I'm going to show you how to stitch now. So this is the other part. So you're just going to hold it from this tiny part, because of the half of an inch we used. So it is tiny that is remaining. So you are going to take your satin, like I said, it's better for you to sew it one than for you to join the lining and the fabric to sew. So I'll take it like this and then I'll place it on that down part. So I'm just going to start sewing as. So I finished stitching the first one. So I'm going to show you how to sew the second one. So we're going to do a lot of top stitching. So the first line that we stitch, we're still going to top stitch it. So you take your lining like this. So you open it up like this. So you just place like this and then just turn to this side, and then you hold from that down part. And then you maintain your first line. So just maintain the line, that the first stitch line. Okay, so after stitching, so now we're going to top stitch. So this is my lining part. So you see the down part. So you see how it is looking beautiful, just like what we have here. So now we're going to top stitch to the lining part. You're going to take it like this. Just open it up like this and then stitch it down. That's secure. So you can decide to do it from the right side. So you just bring everything to the right side like this and then you stitch it down. This is just to get the lining to sit properly. So you open up with your hands. Okay, so that part is done. So there's something I want to do. So I want to top stitch my bustier part. So I want, you know, this kind of princess that will have a top stitch on top. So I'm going to open up like this because I'm adding cups. So I'll open it up like this and then I'm going to top stitch it. So when you are doing this kind of top stitch, you have to be very careful. All of your lines, they have to be the same. So I'm just going to take like 1/4 inch and then I'm going to take it slowly. So this is right, I'm top stitching on the right side of my fabric now because I just want to have those beautiful top stitch lines on my bust here. Okay, so after sewing, so you could see how it is looking like. So you see the inside. So you see it is very neat and clean, all of our top stitch. So this is the top stitch that I was trying to tell you. So you could see the top stitch on the right side of my bodice and then on this side, and then you top stitch the lining from the inside. So the next thing is just for me to add the neckline to it. So the neckline, I can just decide to do this. I'll just take my pattern from my pattern paper and then I would cut it out like this. So you could see that the neckline was actually finished with lace trimmings. So you just use your lace trimming or you can use your bias to turn out the neckline on this part. So the next thing is just to take to do my final trimming on the side, and then you join the back and the front to it. So you could see this down part how it is looking. So you see it came out beautifully. Okay, so at the end of the day, so you could see how our plunging v-neck line on a princess that actually came out. So it came out beautifully well. So for the neckline, you can finish up, you can decide to finish up your neckline with a bias, but the original picture, it was lace trimmings that were actually used to finish up the neckline. So this is what I was trying to explain. The outside stitch, that's the outside top stitch on top of the princess, that it actually makes it to come out beautifully well. So you can decide to add that, to add this kind of top stitch the next time you are making a princess dart, and then the inner one on the to secure the lining. And then for the opening, the original picture, if you notice, the net that was used is actually not really, is not a transparent net that shows the body. So in case you want to use a transparent net, you can decide to reduce the measurement from the measurement that I used. That's if you don't want this bust part to be too revealing. And then you could see this down part will actually achieve that sharp V on the down at the end of the day. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, I would appreciate if you hit on the like button to make me know you appreciate what I did with this video. And then if you have not subscribed, please subscribe and then share this video with your friends and all of your sewing colleagues. So thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. God bless you. Ciao. It's a wrap.